In a kingdom of splendor and prosperity, a wise but anxious king sat upon his throne, his heart weighed down by an unspoken worry. His daughter, the jewel of his empire, had come of age. She was not only beautiful but also intelligent and kind, yet no suitor seemed worthy of her hand. The king desired a match that would secure the future of his kingdom and bring honor to his bloodline. One day, the royal advisor, known as the Rajguru, noticed the king's troubled expression. "Your Majesty, what troubles your heart?" he inquired. The king sighed deeply. "My daughter deserves the best, yet no one seems fit for her. Her future must be secure, but I do not know where to turn." The Rajguru stroked his beard and said, "Let me study her horoscope. It may reveal what fate has in store for her." That night, under flickering candlelight, the Rajguru analyzed the stars and symbols on the princess's chart. As he traced the celestial patterns, his eyes widened in astonishment. She was destined for greatness. Whoever married her would rise to unimaginable power. An ordinary man would become a king would become an emperor, and an emperor would rule the world. But as the realization sank in, greed crept into his heart. "Why should another man gain such fortune?" he thought. "If I marry her, that power will be mine." Determined to seize this opportunity, the Rajguru devised a plan. The next day, he approached the king with a grave expression. "Your Majesty, I have seen something troubling in the stars. Your daughter's destiny is powerful, but it comes with a terrible curse. Her marriage could bring great ruin upon her own family." The king gasped. "What must I do?" The Rajguru replied, "You must send her away. Place her in a grand chest, fill it with jewels, and let the river carry her to her destined husband. Only fate shall decide who is worthy." The king, heartbroken yet desperate to protect his kingdom, followed the Rajguru's advice. The princess, confused and sorrowful, obeyed her father's command. As the chest drifted down the moonlit river, she wept. "Where will this water take me?" she whispered, feeling abandoned yet hopeful that destiny had a plan. Meanwhile, a young prince and his men camped by the riverbank after a long day of hunting. As he washed his face in the cool water, something unusual caught his eye: a chest, gleaming under the starlight, floating towards him. "Retrieve that chest," he ordered. His men waded into the river and dragged it ashore. When they lifted the lid, gasps filled the air. Inside, amidst glittering jewels, sat the princess, her beauty radiant even in sorrow. The prince stepped forward. "Who are you? How did you come to be here?" With a trembling voice, the princess recounted her tale. "My father believes my fate will bring destruction upon my family, so he sent me away." The prince knelt before her, his heart moved. "If your destiny is tied to the one who finds you, then I am honored to be that man. Will you accept my hand?" Tears welled in her eyes as she nodded. The prince placed a golden ring upon her finger, and their union was sealed. Meanwhile, the Rajguru eagerly awaited the arrival of the chest, having secretly arranged for his students to bring it directly to his chamber. "No matter what you hear from inside, do not open the door," he instructed. As the chest finally arrived, his heart pounded with anticipation. He locked himself in his room, whispering, "My fortune awaits within." With trembling hands, he lifted the lid. But instead of the princess, a deep, menacing growl filled the chamber. A ferocious bear leaped out, its eyes blazing with rage. The Rajguru's screams echoed through the halls. "Open the door! Help me!" Outside, the students hesitated. "The Rajguru told us not to open the door no matter what," one reminded the others. Inside, chaos unfolded. The bear, captured during the prince's hunt, had been placed inside the chest as a test for any deceiver who might try to claim the princess's fate. Now, the greedy advisor faced the consequence of his own deception. This ancient tale carries profound wisdom that resonates even in our modern world. The Rajguru's downfall wasn't just about his greed, it was about his fundamental misunderstanding of how destiny works. He believed he could manipulate fate to serve his selfish desires, but in doing so, he became entangled in his own web of deception. The story reminds us that true destiny cannot be forced or coerced. It unfolds naturally when we approach life with integrity and openness. The prince didn't scheme or plot to find the princess, he simply responded with compassion and honor when opportunity presented itself. His authentic reaction to finding someone in need created the conditions for his good fortune. In our own lives, we often face similar temptations. The modern world bombards us with messages that success comes through manipulation, cutting corners, or exploiting others. We're told that to get ahead, we must be calculating and self-serving. But this story challenges that notion, suggesting instead that our greatest achievements come when we align ourselves with principles of truth and service. Consider how the king, despite his power and resources, couldn't force the right outcome for his daughter. His attempts to control her destiny through traditional matchmaking had failed. It was only when he surrendered to a higher wisdom, albeit misguided by the Rajaguru's deception, that the path forward revealed itself. Sometimes our greatest breakthroughs come when we release our grip on controlling outcomes. The princess herself demonstrates remarkable courage and faith. Placed in an impossible situation, she trusted that her journey, however frightening, had purpose. How often do we resist the currents of change in our lives, fighting against circumstances that might actually be carrying us toward our greatest good? The princess's willingness to surrender to the flow of the river literally and figuratively allowed her to arrive exactly where she needed to be. What's particularly striking about this tale is how it portrays the relationship between intention and outcome. The Rajaguru's intentions were corrupt from the beginning, and despite his careful planning, those intentions manifested as his downfall. The prince, whose intentions were pure, received blessings he never sought. This suggests that the universe responds not just to our actions but to the energy behind those actions. In the business world, we see countless examples of companies and leaders who achieved short-term gains through deception, only to face spectacular collapses when their true nature was revealed. From Enron to Theranos, history is littered with cautionary tales of the Rajaguru archetype, those who believed they could outsmart the natural laws of integrity and service. Conversely, organizations built on authentic value creation and genuine service tend to thrive over the long term. They may not always experience meteoric rises, but their foundations remain solid through changing times. Like the prince who simply responded to what was before him with honor, these entities find sustainable success by focusing on real contribution rather than manipulation. The story also speaks to our relationship with power. The Rajguru saw power as something to be grasped and hoarded. He believed that by controlling the princess, he could control his destiny. The prince, however, approached power differently. He didn't seek to possess the princess, but rather to serve her needs in the moment. This distinction between power over and power with defines much of human history and continues to shape our collective experience today. Leaders who operate from a power over paradigm often create environments of fear, compliance, and ultimately resistance. Those who embrace a power with approach tend to foster innovation, loyalty, and sustainable growth. The difference lies in whether we see others as objects to be manipulated for our gain, or as fellow travelers whose success is intertwined with our own. There's also wisdom in how the story portrays karma, the natural law of cause and effect. The Rajaguru set in a chain of events designed to bring him unearned rewards. Instead, those same mechanisms delivered precisely what he had earned through his deception. The bear in the chest wasn't random bad luck, it was the perfect metaphorical response to his attempts to trap and control others. In our lives, we sometimes wonder why certain patterns keep repeating, why we face the same challenges again and again. This story suggests that until we change the energy we put into the world, we'll continue to receive reflections of that energy back. The Rajguru's fate wasn't punishment from an external judge, but the natural consequence of the vibrational reality he had created. The tale also speaks to the power of discernment. The king, despite his wisdom in other matters, failed to see through the Rajaguru's deception. He trusted blindly rather than consulting his own inner knowing. How often do we outsource our decision-making to external experts rather than developing and trusting our own intuition? True wisdom comes from balancing external counsel with internal guidance. For the princess, her journey required tremendous trust. Placed in a chest and set adrift, she had to surrender completely to forces beyond her control. Yet within that surrender was a profound form of power, the power to align with larger currents rather than exhausting herself fighting against them. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to release our grip and allow life to carry us where we need to go. The prince's role in this story is equally instructive. He wasn't actively seeking a bride or plotting to increase his power. He was simply present, attentive to what was before him, and willing to respond with compassion. His reward came not through striving, but through receptivity, a quality often undervalued in our achievement-oriented culture. In many ways, this story challenges our conventional understanding of how success works. It suggests that our greatest achievements may not come through direct pursuit, but through creating the conditions where good fortune can find us. By cultivating qualities of integrity, presence, and service, we become magnetic to opportunities that align with our highest good. The students who refuse to open the door despite the Rajaguru's screams represent another fascinating dimension of this tale. They followed instructions literally rather than discerning the spirit behind them. Their blind obedience contributed to their teacher's demise. This reminds us that moral responsibility cannot be outsourced. We must always engage our own ethical discernment rather than simply following orders. In our complex modern world, this lesson is particularly relevant. From corporate scandals to political extremism, we see the dangers of suspending personal judgment in favor of loyalty to authority figures. True integrity requires us to remain awake and discerning, even when doing so is uncomfortable or inconvenient. The chest itself serves as a powerful symbol in this story. For the princess, it represented both confinement and protection. For the Raja Guru, it symbolized opportunity and ultimately became his trap. The same circumstance can be prison or pathway, depending on our relationship to it. This reminds us that external conditions don't determine our fate, our response to those conditions does. How many times in our lives have we labeled situations as bad only to discover later that they were delivering exactly what we needed for growth? The princess's apparent misfortune, being cast away from her home, became the vehicle for her true destiny. Our greatest challenges often serve as doorways to our greatest blessings, if we have eyes to see them as such. The river in this tale represents the flow of life itself, powerful, directional, yet impossible to fully control. We can resist the current, attempt to dam it, or learn to navigate skillfully within it. The princess chose to trust the river's flow. The Rajguru tried to manipulate it, and the prince remained attentive to what it brought his way. Each approach yielded vastly different results. In our own lives, we face this same choice daily. Do we exhaust ourselves fighting against reality? Or do we develop the wisdom to work with the currents while maintaining our integrity? Do we attempt to force outcomes through manipulation, or do we trust that authentic action will yield authentic results? This timeless story reminds us that the universe operates according to principles deeper than our clever strategies. When we align ourselves with truth, service, and integrity, we place ourselves in harmony with these principles. The results may not always be immediate or obvious, but they are inevitable, just as the Rajaguru's deception inevitably returned to him, and the prince's honorable response brought him unexpected blessing. As we navigate our own complex journeys, may we remember the wisdom of this ancient tale. May we choose the path of the prince rather than the Rajaguru. May we trust the river of life to carry us where we need to go, even when the destination remains unclear. And may we remember that true power comes not from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves, our intentions, our actions, and our responses to life's unfolding mystery. In the end, the princess found her true destiny not through the manipulations of those who sought to use her, but through surrendering to a journey that ultimately led her to where she belonged. Perhaps there's no better metaphor for the human experience than this, that our greatest fulfillment comes not through grasping but through trusting the wisdom of the path as it unfolds before us, one step at a time.